Over here.
Okay. Test. 2. On the audio. Here's what I'm saying.
Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Testing. 2, 3.
Is there a mic cover?
Wind cover.
Time do you have? 5 minutes? Are the keys in the purse? Huh? I'll bring it over here.
Yeah, I just
Could you get everybody to Good afternoon. How are you guys doing? Staying warm?
trying to.
Trying to. We're gonna lower the casket down right away. I'm gonna put the earth on top of it, then we'll put the lid on it to begin with. Okay, I just think it'll make it easier. Thank you. My father and I drove this back from Arkansas last year, commemorate our meeting on our website. If you look at it, scroll down a little bit. Did you ever remember Tim Weigel?
Yeah.
His son Rafer produced the video. Okay.
Right.
please make your way. There's seats, or you can stand out back. Normally we would wait to lower the casket at the end. We're going to do this now. Put a place on top of the casket once it's lowered. Earth from the Mount of Olives. The reason that we do that is to connect ourselves back to tradition says that if someone has a link to the Mount of Olives, it is said that it is there that the Messiah will come to pass, that the Messiah will walk through the Mount of Olives and return us back to life. Well, some of us may accept that reality, others of us understand this to be the notion of a spiritual return. As we'll be ready for even as place this earth upon our casket. Rabbi, do you need help with both of that? Welcome to be seated while they're loading. If you have a cell phone, please put it into silent mode at this time. Funeral is going to be conducted by Rabbi Len Dupro.
I'll say more about Bria in a minute, but you'll hold on to the ribbon at least for this first week that you're mourning. I'm going to get started if that's okay with everyone. So we get First of all, let me offer my condolences and sympathies to all of you. And second, express deep appreciation for you calling upon me to officiate this afternoon. I am humbled and honored to be doing this appreciative of this honor and the trust you place in me to be here today and officiate as we remember Eda and celebrate a beloved mother and grandmother. The young mother set her foot on the path of life. Is the way long, she asked? And her guide said, yes, the way is hard. And you will be old before you reach the end of it, but the end will be better than the beginning. But the young mother was happy, and she would not believe that anything could be better than these years. So she played with her children and gathered flowers for them along the way, and bathed them in the streams, and the sun shone on them, and life was good. And the mother cried, nothing will be lovelier than this. Then night came with storm, and the path was dark, and the children shook with fear and cold, and the mother drew them close and covered them with her mantle. And the children said, O mother, we are not afraid, for you are near, and no harm can come. And the mother said, this is better than the brightest of days, for I have taught my children courage. And the morning came, and there was a hill ahead, and the children climbed and grew weary. And the mother was weary, but at all times she said to the children, a little patience, and we are there. So the children climbed, and when they reached the top, they said, we could not have done this without you, mother. And the mother, when she lay down that night, looked up at the stars and said, this is a better day than last, for my children have learned fortitude in the face of difficulty. Yesterday I gave them courage. Today I have given them strength. And the next day came, strange clouds that darkened the earth, clouds of war and hate and evil. And the children groped and stumbled, and the mother said, look up, lift your eyes to the light. And the children looked and saw above the clouds an everlasting glory, and it guided them beyond the darkness. And that night the mother said, this is the best day of all, for I have shown my children God. And the days went on, and the months and the years, and the mother grew old, and she was small and bent. But her children were strong and tall, and walked with courage. And when the way was hard, they helped their mother. And when the way was rough, they lifted her, for she was light as a feather. And at last they came to a hill, and beyond the hill they could see a shining road, and golden gates flew wide. And the mother said, I have reached the end of my journey, and now I know that the end is better than the beginning, for my children can walk alone, and their children after them. And the children said, will you always walk with us, mother, even when you have gone through the gates? And they stood and watched as she went alone, and the gates closed after her. And they said, we cannot see her, but she is with us. A mother like ours is more than a memory. She is a living presence. And so we wear the Korea ribbon, which is a reminder that life is fragile. In a moment, I'm going to ask you to tear it. It's whole now, as it was when she was alive and with you. But in a moment when we tear it, rend it, a sign of our mourning. It's a reminder that life indeed is fragile. I want to leave a metaphor with you of sewing that ribbon. And imagine that in time, we'll sew that ribbon, a sign of your healing. But even with that sewing, the tear will still be there. So I want you to imagine that in the days and weeks and months to come, healing will come to you. Here's something else. The reason we wear that ribbon is to let others know that something significant has happened to all of you, and to greet you in a different way. Not in the how you do, how you doing, how's everything, what happened. In fact, those who were mourning would walk against the traffic at the temple in Jerusalem, so that as they went up to the mount, others could greet them and offer words of comfort. And that's what we do for you. So if you'll take the bottom of your lip and turn it upwards and repeat after me these words. Baruch, Dayan, Vayaveh. Blessed is the righteous judge. And we say that even though it's counterintuitive to our feelings right now. Indeed, as that story tells us, God is the righteous judge. So we stand in this sacred place today, this sacred space, to acknowledge Eda's legacy. And you all sitting here are her legacy. Going forward, it will be upon you, her beloved children and grandchildren, to be her memory as you recall her in your stories. For all of you, her death marks the end of an era. Now, the generation will come forward to be the leaders of the family. In all that you do, and in all the acts of goodness you perform, do so with Eda in mind. Do so with her in mind, as this would be her wish for herself and not for you. And so I invite Richard to come forward and then Elizabeth to follow.
Rabbi.
Thank you. Obviously, our family. I just have a few remarks to make when I think about Mom's passing, I think about what we've lost. And kind of two big things we've lost. We lost the family center. We called her the Central Telegraph. Boy, if you wanted to know what's going on in the family, Mom knew everything. She spoke to everybody, many of us every day, or every few days. And really nothing was happening that she didn't know about, and she was our central star, and that kind of brought us, kind of the center of the family, especially not just the past 7 years since Dad died, but even before that. And so we've lost that. It's inevitable. It's part of life, and we will all be our own stars in our own way, in our own families. But we've lost that, and that was precious. Mom was also a storehouse of memories. Wow, what a memory she had. She had just unbelievable recall. At the age of 93, certainly much better recall than I've ever had. For people, for places, navigation, Google Maps had nothing on her. She'd tell you how to get to any place. She hadn't been there in years. As a matter of fact, when we were coming in yesterday, I was thinking, how do I get to the cemetery? And my first thoughts were, Mom could tell me how to get to the cemetery. She could have, and she'd tell me where to turn. And the stories, we've lost all that. We remember and we treasure many of the memories she shared with us, and we ourselves will be our own storehouses of memories for the family as we move forward. But we've lost that particular repository. But she also leaves a lot. And that's, and we cherish that so much. And both she and Dad left us with really strong values. When I think about Mom, clearly our Jewish identity. She's left all of us with a strong sense of who we are as a people and as members of that people and as inheritors, friends who you are. And two other things. She and this is something that she and Dad shared with Dad. It was kind of something I most remembered him for, and that was unconditional love. Dad, in the effusive, I want to make her an hug you and make your bones go quicker. Mom in a less effusive way, but just as strong. And we never doubted her love ever, and we knew that both of them loved us to pieces and unconditionally. And it's the strongest lesson I got from them about how to be a good parent. And I continue to think it's the most important thing any parent can do. And she taught me that. When we think about Mom, I mean, the trait that comes through the most, especially these past years, is her strength, her resilience. She taught us not, as kids, not to quit. You start something, you finish it. You start something, you persist at it. And you give it your best shot. Well, she certainly gave everything her best shot. She never gave up. She didn't give up physically, even as her body was failing. She didn't give up, but a few years ago she had a hip replacement and came back from that. And just, I think, out of sheer will, she was, she was strong, as strong as she could be physically, and she was completely with it until the end. She was strong mentally, and she taught us that. That is her. She leaves us with that vision of her as well. And those values. So that's how I think of Mom. That's how I think of you, and I'm going to remember you. And how I think of passing on the things that you taught me. So, thanks, Mom.
All of the grandchildren resumed Rabbi Zincro last night and shared a lot of wonderful memories. Talked about how Grandma was a skilled cook, conversations, fantastic memory. She was proud of all of us and the places she lived. We'd go to visit. She would walk us around and show us off. These were my grandchildren. I'm lucky to be part of her family and to be her granddaughter. And I just wanted to add sort of a couple more thoughts as an additional dimension on Grandma. She always wanted to be part of the action, even into her 80s and 90s. And this often meant unfamiliar situations, or crowds, or deafening music, or fatigue, but it did not matter. At Aaron's bar mitzvah, for example, after hours of dancing and partying, all of the adults who weren't family had left, and kids were still dancing on the dance floor. And we asked Grandma, would you like to go home? She said no. She stayed until the very end. This was how she was. She did this for everything. And she sort of wanted to have her finger on the pulse a little bit. We went to Jenny's Ice Cream when it first opened in Chicago, and it was extremely crowded. There was a huge line out the door, nowhere to sit. And we said, do you want to get the ice cream to go, Grandma? Do you want to come back another time? And she said no. And we waited in line, and it was us and all the trendy 20-year-olds at this restaurant, and she was just very comfortable and had a great time. Grandma was also very engaged, not just in the goings-on of her family and of our lives, but in the goings-on of the world. And very, very recently, when she and I talked on the phone, we talked a lot about politics in detail. We talked about what was happening around us, Black Lives Matter, and she always has this staunchly progressive, really admirable worldview. So I'll say that I'll think of Grandma often.